Section 1. Benefits and key messages. OPITO has developed processes and procedures for the registration, appropriate sampling, and certification of OPITO global qualifications. The Hub, OPITO's data management system, is the platform where approved centres register their learners onto the relevant qualification, request certification, complete appropriate sampling, and issue certification. Records of all OPITO certifications and qualifications are held in the Hub. Every learner has one record with one OPITO learner number, allowing for all learner information to be accessed quickly from a single location. As a part of the global qualifications process, approved centres must inform OPITO of all learners as they register onto a course. The Hub makes it easy to enter and share this data with OPITO. It ensures that this information is stored securely and can be accessed and shared by both OPITO and the approved centre. Once certified, the learner's achieved qualification will be added to their OPITO record, alongside any other OPITO achievements, including standards, open learning, and apprenticeships. Centres, industry, and employers can verify the validity and status of any OPITO certificates using the Hub's Certificate Validation Checker. OPITO e-certificates also feature a QR code which confirms the validity immediately when scanned. To manage the process effectively, approved centres must complete some actions within the Hub. This includes uploading assessors and internal verifiers relating to the delivery of OPITO's global qualifications, and link as appropriate to the qualifications they will be responsible for in that role. Registering learners, placing claims for award and certification, managing sampling requests and the provision of associated evidence. Following successful completion of these actions, centres can download and issue the certification to the learners to close out the learner journey. Section 2. Staff Acceptance Process. In line with OPITO's sampling strategy, OPITO will review the approved centre's status alongside the associated assessors and internal verifiers to calculate an appropriate sample, following a request for award and certification for learners. The sampling strategy can be viewed in more detail within the Guide to Achieve and Maintain Approval for global qualifications. The relevant staff for the learners must be provided at the point of initial registration and confirmed at the point of request for sampling. To do this, the staff members are firstly uploaded into the Hub by the centre. This is completed within the Staff tab by clicking Add a Staff Member and entering the requested details: first name, surname, and email address. The user must also click to confirm the staff member has agreed to share this information with OPITO. Confirm the upload by clicking Add Staff Member. The staff member is now available with the status automatically set to Not Yet Reviewed. There are 3 other statuses that a staff member will be granted following OPITO review. These are Part Accepted. This is where OPITO has reviewed enough evidence and is satisfied that the staff member meets the requirements of the OPITO assessment strategy for the relevant role and qualification selected. Accepted. This is where the staff member has evidenced their adherence with the strategy. The staff member has completed learner portfolios where they were responsible in the relevant role, and these have been sampled previously by OPITO. Rejected. This is where the staff member cannot meet the requirements of the assessment strategy, or previous sampling of learner portfolios has identified a major concern which has failed to be rectified. In line with OPITO's sampling matrix, the status of assessors and internal verifiers contributes towards reducing the percentage of evidence required at the point of sampling. Evidence must be uploaded against the staff member's profile, alongside the applicable roles and qualifications in order to be reviewed by OPITO and allocated the appropriate acceptance status. To do this, assign the staff member the relevant roles and qualifications by clicking Add Remove Links to Products. This then provides the ability to select the relevant qualification alongside the role of either assessor or internal verifier. Select as appropriate and confirm by clicking Finished. The evidence is then linked to the staff member to support how they meet the requirements of the OPITO assessment strategy for the roles and qualifications selected. This is carried out by clicking Details, moving to the Documents tab and selecting Upload One Now. Documents can be uploaded individually. However, it is recommended to make the upload process more efficient that all evidence is uploaded for the staff member within one zipped folder. Once the evidence is uploaded, select Save Changes. The user is prompted to add an audit note to track changes that have been made. An example of a note is being shown on screen. Finish by clicking Save this note. OPITO will review this information, and where enough evidence has been provided, the staff member's status will be updated. Where there has not been enough information provided to update the staff member's status, a staff approval form will be completed, and an email notification of this will be sent from Outlook. The form will be available within the inbox on the Hub homepage and will detail the staff member that it relates to. Click into the form and open the section Staff Member Information Request. Within this section, OPITO will have selected from the assessor and/or internal verifier checklists which requirements have been successfully met by the evidence already provided. At the end of the section, OPITO will detail what additional evidence is required to allow for the staff member's status to be updated and accepted or part accepted. This requested information must be provided within the Centre Submission section by attaching the relevant documents. There is a checkbox to confirm that the staff member now meets the remaining requirements. Save the section and submit to OPITO using the button Further Information Submitted. If the additional information provided is still not sufficient, OPITO may return the form and repeat this process. Once satisfactory evidence has been provided for the roles and qualifications applied for, OPITO will update the staff member's status and close the form. An email notification will be received to confirm this, and the completed form can then be located within the Closed Forms section of the Hub homepage. The staff member's status can then be reviewed against their profile within the Staff tab. Section 3. Registering learners on an OPITO qualification. Learners are to be registered with OPITO at or prior to the point of course commencement. This is carried out within the Reg and Cert tab in the Hub. By clicking Create a Booking, select the option for OPITO qualification booking form and the relevant qualification from the approved list. Once selected, hit Finished and Create Booking. The form can now be completed with the relevant course details. On the Overview page, the start and end dates are to be updated to reflect the scheduled running dates of the course. Next, the registration details section can be completed to allow you to add in a reference that will help you search for the specific cohorts of learners. UK centres must also upload the completed equality and diversity monitoring forms within this section. Once completed, hit Save Changes, and the form title will reflect this information. It is important that this is unique for this class or cohort of learners. The reference provided will be displayed in the booking form title. The next section is for delivery staff. Here, the assessor and/or internal verifier who are responsible for this class or cohort need to be selected. If the applicable assessor and/or internal verifier have not yet been accepted by OPITO, then a co-signee should also be added. This will contribute to the sampling rates required upon completion of the qualification. For more information on how this is calculated, please refer to the sampling matrix in the Guide to Achieve and Maintain Approval for global qualifications. Again, press Save Changes. Now that the form has been completed with the course details, learners can be enrolled within the Learner Details section. There are options to both add a new learner and also select an existing learner. A learner is considered as existing if they have completed an OPITO-approved course at the centre previously. This includes the completion of any OPITO standards. Clicking Add a New Learner will open a page to add the learner and enrol them onto the course. Enter the first name, surname and date of birth. If a Vantage ID or Scottish candidate number is available, this can also be added. Confirm the details by clicking Create Learner and Add to Booking. Learners can be added to the booking as and when they enrol onto the course. Learners can also be removed from the registration form up to the point of submission to OPITO. To remove a learner who has been incorrectly added, enter the Learner Details section and then select Registration Details next to the appropriate learner, followed by the option Remove from Booking. This is then confirmed by clicking Yes, Remove the learner. Once the learners for the class are confirmed, the registrations are to be submitted to OPITO for review. This is to be carried out before the course begins. Registrations are submitted using the button Submit Registrations on the form overview. OPITO will then complete a review of the registrations alongside the assigned staff members and the course information. If OPITO has any queries before confirming the registrations, the form will be returned with a public comment added in the relevant section. The assigned centre user will receive a hub notification email to advise of this, and the form will be available again in the Reg Insert tab, with the stage updated to Registrations Queried. Based on the query added by OPITO, the user is to take the appropriate action. This could include responding to the query or updating the form with learners, course details or delivery staff. The form is resubmitted to OPITO, this time by using the Additional Information Provided button. Once the registration details are confirmed, the form will be returned again with the stage updated to reflect this. A hub notification email will also be received from Outlook. If a learner is withdrawn from the course following registration confirmation, they will need to be updated within the form. To do this, enter the Learner Details section and select Registration Details against the applicable learner. At product level, select the option for Other Requests, and from within the new window, select Withdrawn from the options on the left. Where the system asks Learner Withdrawn, update the answer to Yes and save updates. The learner will now be marked as withdrawn against the product and all the associated enrolled units. Section 4. Making a claim for award and certification. Once a learner has successfully completed an OPITO qualification, they are to be marked as achieved within the relevant registration form. This is carried out within the Learner Details section of the form. To update the achievements for an individual learner, the user can select Registration Details beside the learner and then select the option Apply Passing Grade to All. This will then make a claim for all units linked to this qualification. Once confirmed, click Save Changes and this will automatically update the learner's status against the qualification. This now shows that the units have all been claimed by the centre. A full class or cohort of learners can be marked at once by selecting Apply Passing Grade to All within the grading view. If any learners have not yet achieved the qualification, please ensure that the status is updated to reflect this before saving any changes. If a unit has been achieved by recognition of prior learning, RPL, this is to be detailed against the relevant learner and the unit. To do this, select the Other Requests hyperlinked available on the unit. Select the tab for RPL and amend the RPL claimed status to Yes, adding a note on what evidence has been provided for this and attaching any relevant certification. Save the updates and return to the learner. The RPL status will now be highlighted against this unit for this learner. Prior to the qualification being awarded and certified by OPITO, they may be subject to sampling. OPITO holds 4 sampling windows throughout the year. Please review this year's sampling calendar for information on dates. All learners that a centre wishes to have certified are to be submitted to OPITO for review during the next sampling window. The centre is to create a sampling request form to advise OPITO of the learners who are ready for certification. This can be completed on the home page by selecting Start a new sampling request. The centre is to then confirm the qualification that the learners are to be certified in and click Create Form. A sampling session is to be added to link all the applicable learners. Within the sampling session section of the form, select Add Session and allocate it a suitable name. This could be the dates of the appropriate sampling window and the qualification. Confirm with the Create Session button. The learners can now be added to the session by selecting the session and further selecting Add Learners/Components. This will then show the user all the learners currently marked as achieved against the relevant qualification. All learners and units can be selected for sampling by clicking the tick box on the filter heading, or individual learners can be selected by using the individual tick boxes. The filter at the top can also be used to filter learners, for example, those on a specific registration form, by inputting the form reference number. Add the learners by clicking Add Selected Learner Assessments to Session. More learners can be added to the session at interim periods up until the point of submission to OPITO. Learners can also be removed by selecting the Remove option. The more learners included in the sample, the more likely it is that a lower percentage of evidence will be required by OPITO for review due to the sample being proportionate to the sample size. If learners are claimed for individually, sampling will be required on each occasion of submission. The delivery staff section is to be completed with the appropriate assessor and internal verifier for the sample. The status of these staff members will then impact the percentage of evidence required for OPITO sampling, as per the sampling matrix. Once the session has been compiled with all learners who are ready to be certified against the qualification, it can be finalised and submitted to OPITO for review. Finalise the session by clicking the Finalise Session button. The system will then ask the user to confirm they are ready to finalise the session. The sampling request form is to then be sent to OPITO before the assigned deadline date for the sampling window. For more information on these deadline dates, please review the sampling calendar. Submit to OPITO for review using the Request to Sample button. OPITO will now identify an appropriate sample of evidence to be reviewed before the learners are certified. This will be calculated in line with the sampling matrix. Section 5. Submitting evidence for sampling. Once OPITO has identified an appropriate sample, the sampling request form will be returned with the status updated to Sample Identified. A hub notification email will also be sent in Outlook. To review the learners and units, OPITO requires evidence for sampling. Enter the sampling session section of the form and select the session. Within the session, the applicable learners and units will be identified with a tick in the In Proposed Sample column. The user can use the filter to only select those by clicking In Proposed Sample from the filters. Evidence is to now be provided against each requested learner for the requested unit or units. This is actioned within the Other Requests area, which will open in a new tab. Upload the relevant evidence into the file drop, add an appropriate note, and save updates. If the unit was achieved by means of RPL, please upload the applicable certificate into the RPL area too. By refreshing the original tab, a hyperlinked D now indicates that documents have been provided for the learner and unit. Continue with this until all of the proposed sample has the relevant evidence provided. Once all evidence for the requested sample has been uploaded, this is submitted to OPITO by using the Submit Evidence button on the form overview. To be included in the next sampling window, ensure this is submitted by the deadline for the evidence. For more information on the submission deadline, please see the sampling calendar. OPITO will complete a check on the submitted information to ensure evidence has been provided for all learners and units identified in the proposed sample. If there are any queries or missing information, the form will be returned with the stage updated to additional evidence requested. A public comment will have been added to the appropriate section to outline the additional information required. Feedback to OPITO on this by using the public comment function and/or by uploading any missing information. Once completed, submit the evidence again by selecting the Submit Evidence button on the form overview. The evidence must be available for OPITO review before the start of the sampling window. OPITO will now complete a review of the evidence and provide feedback. If an action is raised, this must be completed before the achievements and certificates are issued. In this instance, the form will be returned with the status updated to Actions with Centre. Feedback on the review will be provided within the OPITO feedback section of the form, and the actions will also be displayed in here to view. Any actions are also held on the Action tab in the home page. Actions are to be closed following the action closeout process as outlined in Section 6. Once the learners within the sample can be awarded and certified, the form will be closed and a hub notification email will be received from Outlook confirming this. The feedback and closed form can be viewed within the Closed Forms section on the home page. Section 6. Action Closeout. Where an action has been raised during sampling and requires actions to be completed before the learners can be awarded and certification issued, evidence is to be submitted within an action response form. An action response form is created from the home page by selecting Start a New Action Response Form. Within the Evidence Submission section, select the relevant action or actions where it says Attach an existing action. The evidence requested to close this out is to then be uploaded in the next question within a zipped folder by selecting the option to attach a new document. The date can then be entered as the document reference and the remaining fields completed. Once uploaded, click Save Changes and submit to OPITO using the Submit Corrective Actions button on the form overview. OPITO will now review the evidence. If the action requires further information, the form will be returned with the status updated to further information requested and the additional information required detailed within the action itself. This can be viewed from within the Evidence Submission section and the additional information submitted in the same way as before. This process will continue until the action is successfully closed out. Once the action is successfully completed, the form will be closed and a notification will be received in a hub notification email in Outlook. The learners will now be awarded and certified by OPITO with the corresponding sampling request form closed and an email notification sent to confirm this. Section 7. Downloading certification. Certificates can be downloaded to issue to learners in one of two ways, either in the course registration form or in the Certificates tab. To download certificates from a course registration form, open the applicable booking form and select the Certificates tab within the Learner Details section. Individual certificates can be downloaded next to the relevant learner by selecting eCerts PDF zip. A folder with all certificates can be downloaded by selecting eCerts PDF zip from the drop-down menu, selecting all and then selecting Download Selected. If all learners within the course registration form have been issued certification, the Close Booking button can be selected from the overview. If you are issuing certificates following a sampling window for a number of learners across multiple course booking forms, it will be easier to download these from the Certificates tab. This can be found within the Learners tab under the More Learner Actions drop-down. The qualification is selected from the product drop-down and a date period is selected for when the learners were certified, for example, in the last week. Click Find Certificates and all certificates will be available to download, either individually beside the learner or by selecting all and Download Selected. Section 8. Unit-only registration. If a learner or learners are completing only an individual unit or a small group of units which don't result in a full qualification, the unit-only registration process can be used. This is carried out within the Reg and Cert tab in the Hub by clicking Create a Booking. Select the option Qualification Unit Booking Form. The unit booking form now needs to be completed with the relevant information. As with the qualification registration process, the start and end date are to be updated to align with the actual duration for completion. In this instance, the unit or units now need to be added manually by selecting Add Remove Product Units and then ticking beside the applicable unit or units. The search filter box can be used to find the units from the available list. Once selected, click Add Selected Components and then save the changes. The registration details, delivery staff and learner details section are then all completed in the same way as the full qualification booking form by adding the appropriate staff, providing a unique reference for the form title and adding the learners as per section 3 of this video. Once the learner or learners are registered and ready to be sent to OPITO for review, confirm using the Submit Registrations button. OPITO will now review the registrations, and if there are any queries before confirming, the form will be returned with the status updated to Registration Query. An email notification will also be received from Outlook. A public comment will have been added by OPITO in the applicable section. Review the comment and respond accordingly, making any updates to the form if applicable. Submit again using the Submit Registrations button. Once confirmed, OPITO will return the form and the status will be updated to Registrations Confirmed. When the learner or learners have completed the unit or units, the achievement is updated within the Learner Details section in the same way as the qualification registration. Certification is now requested by returning the form with the Request Certification button. OPITO will then request evidence to be submitted for review as appropriate for the sample. The required evidence will be outlined within the OPITO Sampling Request section of the form, and the evidence is to be attached within the Evidence Submission section. The evidence is submitted for review using the Submit Evidence button. If any additional information is required to complete the review, the form will be returned with the stage updated to Evidence Queried, and a public comment outlining the requirement will have been added. Please revise the attached evidence and submit again. Once satisfactory evidence has been submitted, OPITO will complete the review. If an action has been raised, the form will be returned and the action closeout process is to be completed as per section 6 of this video. Where the certification has been approved and generated by OPITO, the form will be returned with the stage updated to full certification processed. And the certificates can be downloaded from the Learner Details section within the Certificates tab. Once the certificates have been downloaded and issued to the learner or learners, close the form using the Certificates Issued button. Section 9. Recap, key points and further support. To recap, the Hub is OPITO's data management system, and it is a training repository used to capture all OPITO approved certification and qualifications. This makes the accuracy of information input for learners very important to maintain data integrity. For those centres approved for the delivery of an OPITO Global Qualification, learners' information, including that of registration, award, sampling and certification, is shared between OPITO and the centre as part of an ongoing process throughout each learner's journey. Centres approved for global qualifications are required to register the learners with OPITO, claim awards accordingly and submit evidence for sampling as per requests from OPITO. For more information on sampling, please refer to the Guide to Achieve and Maintain Approval for Global Qualifications and this year's sampling calendar. Similarly, for more information on how to carry out these processes within the Hub, please refer to the Registering Learners OPITO Sampling and Certification for Global Qualifications document. All documentation can be found within the Documents Library in the Hub. If you have any further questions, please contact a member of the OPITO team.